Hi, I'm Diana Giselle Yanez, host of Highly Sensitive Money. I'm a money coach, certified financial planner, and a highly sensitive person who brings money and social justice together. If you're someone who feels deeply, can endlessly think through how one decision affects everything else, or has ever struggled with all the things that traditional financial thinking leaves out, you're in the right place. In this show, I chat with highly sensitive people on how they handle their money, and with money experts on how they cultivate social justice in their work. Questions? Please go to allthecolors.net and schedule a free 30-minute call. And I'm happy to share resources on investment management, money coaching, workshops, or anything else money and social justice related. Join us in this episode as we explore money and sensitivity while honoring that all of our well-being is interconnected. Welcome to today's episode where I explore the powerful intersection of values and investing. I'll be sharing my experience as an investment manager at Natural Investments, where I focus not just on financial returns, but on creating positive social and environmental impact. For anyone who has ever wondered whether our investments can truly reflect our values without sacrificing returns, this episode is for you. I'll discuss impact investing options across different regions, debunk myths about socially responsible investing, and share a simple but effective metaphor for making meaningful changes in your financial life. Welcome to today's episode of Highly Sensitive Money. We'll be talking today about investment management. I am an investment manager at Natural Investments. I joined that firm a year ago, March of 2024. At first, when I first had that decision come up, I was a little bit on the fence. Although I've been working in finances for almost 7 years, I've never been a lead financial planner. I've been very much a lead money coach. I've helped a lot of people move through a lot of different decisions, a lot of different life transitions. And yet there was some hesitation in me to becoming an investment manager because I wonder, how does capitalism, how does it be investment really work in the world? Is it really creating the future that I want to see? And I joined Natural Investments because I believe that this firm really is making that future possible. Natural Investments started roughly 40 years ago by Jack Brill, who wanted to bring his concern for environmental well-being into his work as a stockbroker. His son later joined, 2 more people later joined, 2 more people later joined. And by the time I joined last year, I believe I was the 17th investment advisor to join the firm. And I think we serve about 400, almost 500 households across now, I think 20 investment advisors all across the US. I remember the first time that I kind of realized what an amazing place it is that I work at was after a year of working at Natural Investments. I went to our first annual retreat. And I started to hear the origin story of how this firm started. And I had the chance to hear Hal talk about the joy he felt at seeing the firm grow and where it is. And I knew this already, like the amazing work that we can do to our clients, the kind of opportunities that we bring our clients. But being there and like feeling myself be part of this community felt like I wanted to stay. It was really, really lovely. And specifically, there are a lot of firms that do similar work to what Natural Investments does. I'm happy to be at Natural Investments. One of the most special things about our firm is the kind of opportunities that we give clients where they're really doing impact investing, where it's not just about returns, but it's about the positive social impact, whether it be environmental concerns or racial equity or gender issues. It's the coherence, the beautiful feeling of knowing that all of you aligns. Not that it's not just words, right? Because I know I left the last firm where I worked at was incredibly lovely, but I hit a wall when I saw that clients had very progressive values and at the same time were not willing to walk the talk, right? And at Natural Investments, at Strategy Squad, at the beginning, I felt very much confronted by my clients' willingness to walk the talk, even as there was a part of me as a financial planner that felt like, wait, let's slow down. As your fiduciary, right? Fiduciary means that I'm always making decisions for my client's best interest. As your fiduciary, I want to make sure that we thought this through, that we've looked at the numbers. This month for my All the Colors newsletter, I talked about the process that I go through in order to prepare for client meetings over at Natural Investments. And I often will start by really remembering the client, remembering their questions, focusing on our positive interactions, on our negative interactions, focusing on all of the times that we've connected either via email or another Zoom meeting, and kind of summarizing in my mind, what is this client's main question? How is it that I can serve them? Coming very much with a server mentality, with a server heart. And that really motivates me or helps me stay focused as I do the background work of reviewing all of their documents, looking at the overall investment strategy, making sure that that they're going to have the cash, the liquidity that they need when they need it. With all of the volatility that's been happening in the market because of politics in the US, there's so much uncertainty. And honestly, there's always uncertainty. Best practices when we know a client is going to be withdrawing money, whether the market is going up or down, is that we take the cash out, right? We create ladders. We have like maturity of bond notes when they're going to mature so that the client will have the cash that they need. And that's something that we had in place before the volatility started. However, the volatility does mean that a lot of stock market value has dropped, right? And it can be really scary to see that number go down. Yet with longevity on client side, like if a client is in their 60s, in their early 70s, they might still have another 10, 15 years to stay invested, right? For that money to go back up. And we don't time the market. I have no idea. I have no way of knowing when the market will go up or when the market will go down. And if I did, that would likely be insider trading and thus illegal, right? It's beyond my purview. However, again, taking a step back and really helping people create a strategy and stay with it is what I get to do as an investment manager. The coherence that clients create when they know that their money is invested in things that matter to them beyond reaching their own financial goals is huge, right? We have clients who did not want to be invested in occupied territories, and we help make that happen. We have clients who want to invest in local endeavors. If somebody lives in East Bay, we have a lot of options. If someone lives in Kansas, we have options. In Philadelphia, we have options. We have options all across the US and also internationally. And seeing ourselves as part of the positive is so helpful, especially because we see so much pain around us. So again, I'm talking about like for anyone out there who's highly sensitive and who worries, who wonders, is my money in the line with my values? Is my money actually creating the world that I want to see? It is possible, and I would welcome a conversation. I mentioned at the beginning that there was some hesitation on my end of whether I wanted to be an investment manager because I really want to be able to help people regardless of whether they have money or not. That's always been really, really important to me. And I realized that by becoming an investment manager, I would be able to serve people more closely in a style that fitted me, that like took all of my skills, including when people have assets to manage. Because it's like, I have so much experience working with people who are going through debt, who are figuring out how to do life post any kind of tragedy. And also wanting to see that I could serve people, highly sensitive people on the high end of income is something that like I had to expand to really allow myself to do and see as part of my skill set. So I'm very happy to be here and just say like, hey, I'm here. I'm available. If you have a portfolio and you want it to be aligned with your value, I'm here. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to share my fees. I'm happy to be your thinking partner. More than anything, it's like I want to be people's thinking partner as they're making these decisions it is such an honor always. It is such an honor to get to sit with people and help them. I think it's, for me, what's most beautiful is always when people feel that here's an area of their life that they thought wasn't for them, right? Money, investments, understanding insurance, retirement, and helping them see that it is for them and that they can take care of themselves while having a positive impact on others. We are so much more interconnected than we think. Our well-being really, again, I've shared this before, but as a highly sensitive person, one of the gifts, one of the curses is that if I see someone else suffering, I suffer too. That I too am empathetic, that I too want to help, that I suffer with, right? Compassion. Passion is suffer, to have suffering with others. And that porousness is also a gift, and that I can't pretend that HSPs, most of us can't pretend that we're not connected. And on the plus side, it also really makes the positive that much sweeter, that much stronger. Last year, in August of 2024, I attended my first Buddhist meditation retreat. There's a Buddhist center I attend here in Mexico City. And this was my second retreat ever, my first one that was Buddhist. I remember sharing with someone my work, that I'm an investment manager that not only focuses on positive returns, but also positive social impact, that I'm a money coach who helps people who are avoidant of money, afraid of money, start to own their power in that area of life. And the person I was sharing that with said, oh, you must have really good karma to now be doing work that has such a positive social impact, or such a positive impact on people. And also on the planet, right? Because we screen out fossil fuels. We do a lot of things that are focused on the planet's well-being. And I am still feeling really joyful from that. I am still really feeling like, I don't know what my thoughts are in reincarnation, but the idea that like someone's recognized the good of my profession, when so much of the time finances has a well-deserved negative reputation, but to see someone see the good of the profession and reflect that back to me felt really good. This summer, I'll get to be teaching a group of college students and young adults about investing in a way that's focused on environmental well-being, upcoming climate collapse. And as part of my research, I was seeing like, oh, how do we see what the impact is? Like, is it possible to have positive return when you're screening out things that are super extractive, right? Because extraction, working someone to death, paying slave wage laborers, taking the most that's possible out of nature, those can be very profitable, right? Like profit above all else. However, it can also be very, very chaotic, because if you're exploiting an employee, that employee is not going to last very long. They're going to leave, or their productivity is going to be lower and lower because it's such poor quality. It's kind of like if you're farming land and you don't allow it time to rest, time to be fallow, the production is lower. So it's not that I'm saying like, oh, we should let people rest so that they're more productive. No, people should rest because rest is part of what people need. It's just joyful. It's joyful to rest. That should be enough. But in this research, I was comparing 3 different ticker symbols. One was absolutely like everything goes, yes, extraction, okay with fossil fuels. The next one was more green, less fossil fuels, more screening. And the third one was actually like a very select number of companies, only 40 companies. And often you think, well, if there's less diversity, if there's less of a large number of companies in the mutual fund or in the ETF, then it may have less positive returns, or it may not provide you the wide exposure that you need. What we saw is that yes, the first year, the mutual fund with the least amount of restrictions had the highest return compared to the one with the most restrictions, one that only had 40 options, had the smaller return. However, when you step back 3 years, 5 years, it was actually the opposite. The one that had been most clearly screened had a better return than the one that had let everything go. And again, how a portfolio is created, like I really just want to share that there's disclosures all over, right? Like I can't promise any kind of return. I can't promise that the one that's well screened and that's more values aligned is going to do better in the long run. However, we can look at historical returns and go from there, right? And again, anybody who's listening to this, like make sure to talk to your investment advisor or be very considerate as you're making your own investment decisions if you're more of a DIY do-it-yourselfer. But it is important to note that the story that bringing your values into your money means less profit is not necessarily true. As I mentioned in the first episode where I talk about how I got into this work is my ministry, helping people feel their agency, their power when it comes to money decisions is a really huge joy for me. I love being able to reflect back to people that they know more than they think they do, that their instinct on how to navigate the world of earning an income, managing the income, managing their investments, their instincts are often correct. And being another thought partner as they're making those decisions is an honor. It's a joy. I'm thinking to the meetings I had with clients this week, the presentations that I gave, and there's something so joyful in being with people as they walk through difficult things. Because I can never help a client go through their grief, but I can walk alongside them as they go through their grief. I'm thinking specifically of a client that I spoke to this week who had a difficult financial interaction with a family member. And now a year later, they're seeing like, okay, a year ago, this is where I was and this is where I am today. And there's remnants there. There's like a memory of what happened a year ago. And money brings it up because money was the reason that there was this difficult interaction. And it's okay. We still need to keep going. This reminds me of, I may have already shared this example, but when I was 19 years old, I had a really bad car accident. I was driving from Calexico to San Diego through the Rumorosa, which is lots of cliffs. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. I love driving through there. It really reminds me of growing up and my college years. And I fell asleep. I fell asleep. There was no music. My cousin was sleeping. He was 9 years old. He was sleeping in the car. My brother was sleeping in the car. He was like 17. And I also fell asleep because the radio wasn't working and I couldn't find my CDs. I woke up to my cousin screaming. It was super scary because we're going down this not a cliff, but like it was pretty big. And like if we had been a few feet to the right, we would have hit a giant boulder the sides of the car, but we were really lucky that we didn't hit it. But after this experience, understandably, I was afraid of driving. And my mom is such a strong woman. My mom's like, you live in LA. You don't have the time and space to be afraid of driving. You have to start driving again. And I was so thrown back because I didn't want to drive. I wanted to just be, it's too scary. I made a mistake. I can't be trusted with a car. And instead I had to drive. And I did, I was grateful. I was really, really grateful that car was totaled. And funnily enough, I'm going to share a little bit of my money story. My mom had bought that car for me and she was in a financial situation where she actually needed the money more than she needed me to have a car. So the insurance paid her out what she owed and a little bit more. And that was really like a positive money experience for my mom at the time. And my dad actually loaned me his little car. It was a Geo Metro that couldn't go faster than 40 miles an hour, which was really the kind of car I should have been driving at that time. It's really
My driving skills, even though I know how to drive because I'm from LA and I live in Mexico City so that I don't have to drive anywhere. And I chose that. I chose to live here because I don't really need a car. I don't need it. And I'm sharing this example because anybody who lives in the world, we have to be in interactions with money, right? We live in a society right now where money is such a clear part of it. I was at a philosophy discussion. I go to a philosophy group here in Mexico City this past Wednesday, and we were talking on life and death. And one of the questions was, what gives life meaning? And then somebody asked, does money give life meaning? And we went off on a tangent around money. We were on a tangent around money for like 20 minutes. It was pretty incredible. For this, we had like a whole list of questions on life and death. And somebody actually had to be like, hey, can we bring it? Can we like leave money to the side? We're talking about death here. It's not just money. But it's a thing. Money is such a thing that enlivens people. I think that's another reason that I love working with this topic. And just like living in LA and not driving a car was not an option, at least the way that my mom saw it at the time, it wasn't an option. For most of us living in this world without having money interactions, if you're listening to this podcast, it's probably not an option. So how do we get into right relationship with it? How do we learn what's possible, what's within our skill set? How do we learn from previous decisions, previous lessons, so that we can go forth and make better decisions? In addition to moving your investments to be in line with your values, you can also just move your money, move your bank, move to a different bank that is in line with your values. If, for example, you want to divest from fossil fuels, there's a report called Banking on Climate Chaos. The most recent edition from 2024 lists out the banks that are the dirty dozen, especially banks that have signed documents that they're like, yes, let's reach net zero. Let's reach goals that are going to be positive for the climate, and then still financing fossil fuel exploration. So that's another place where you can go. And at the end of the day, the place where we can have the most impact is how we earn and how we spend. Like I mentioned earlier, I must have very good karma because I get to earn my money in a way that feels very aligned with my values, both as an investment manager, as a money coach, as a group coach, and soon a life coach. I just started taking life coach training. But then also think about where it is that you spend money. Do you have the flexibility to spend local? Do you have the flexibility to buy things that are made outside of sweatshops, right? Stay away from fast fashion. That can be really bad for the climate, and it can also be really bad for the people who are working in the industry. And we can make 1 degree changes at a time. I recently learned this example that when you have one of those giant boats that cross the oceans with like a bunch of freight, massive, massive boats, they have a rudder at the back that changes what direction they're going. But it's not the entire rudder that moves. It's actually these little things in the back of the rudder, little, like I don't really know what size they are, but they're small, and those change. That one little 1 degree turn is enough to steer the boat in a whole different direction. So what are the places in your money life where you can make 1 degree turns that will help you feel proud of the decisions that you're making, that will help you feel how you are producing a benefit for others, and how are you receiving a benefit from others, right? Especially if you're purchasing. Those little 1 degree turns that bring more alignment, more coherence into your life and into your relationship with money can make a world of difference. So I want to say thank you for everybody who listened today. It's such a pleasure to get to share with you more of my thoughts on money. I'm also really, really glad that my dog, for anybody who's watching the YouTube video, my dog has been coming in and out of the picture frame, and she's actually pretty camera shy, I've learned. But she was on the couch for a little bit today wearing her pink bow because she just took a bath. So for anyone who's watching the YouTube video, please let me know, what do you think of Blanquita Belisario Bodhisattva? For anyone who is instead only listening to the podcast, I invite you to go check out the YouTube where you can see my little dog come and go. Anyway, thank you again. I will be linking a couple of resources, Banking on Climate Chaos, Better Banking Options. I'll be linking myself at Natural Investments and my money coaching work at All the Colors. Thank you so much for your time today.
As we reach the end of our time together, I invite you to consider what 1-degree turns you might make in your own financial life. Whether it's reviewing your investment portfolio for alignment with your values, researching alternative banking options, or simply becoming more intentional about your spending, remember that small changes can steer your financial ship in a whole new direction. The path to financial well-being doesn't require perfection, just progress. And for those who are highly sensitive like myself, finding coherence between our values and our money isn't just good for the world, it's essential for our peace of mind. Until next time, may your money decisions reflect the future you wish to create.
Thank you for joining me on Highly Sensitive Money. I'm Diana Giselle Yanez, and I hope this episode helped you see how money and sensitivity can work together while honoring our interconnected well-being. We have the power to create a system where everyone's needs are met because nature is abundant. If you found value in today's conversation, please take a moment to leave a review and share this episode with someone who could benefit. Your support helps this message reach more people navigating their own financial journeys. A thank you goes to Mike Schul for the music and Juan Antonio Nunez for producing. For more resources on bringing money and social justice together, sign up for my monthly newsletter over at allthecolors.net. I also invite you to schedule a free 30-minute call where we can talk about money coaching, investment management, and all things money and social justice. Until next time, remember that your sensitivity and deep thinking is your superpower.